We had 2 red cards in a ferocious battle in Marseille. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. The atmosphere in Marseille for this one was absolutely electric, and the teams delivered a fantastic test match. Very ferocious and keeping us on the edge of our seat most of the way through. France start off, they get a penalty. Ramos steps up, kicks it, puts them 3-0 ahead. We come to one of the big moments in the game. So Dante is sitting on the ground in a ruck, and Pieter-Steph du Toit comes from miles back and leads with his head straight into his head. No doubt that this is a red card straight away. There's absolutely no mitigation. There's high degree of danger, lots of force. And I believe afterwards, I think they said in commentary that Dante maybe broke his eye socket or something like that. So not great for him in terms of like the rest of his season as well. Pieter-Steph du Toit, he's off. Could see him though sitting on the bench. Like you could see that he was there thinking that he's let his team down. He's let, his country down as well. Just looked kind of forlorn on the bench. But South Africa are down to 14 men, rightly so. MacLeod has to come on, and he gets put onto the wing, I believe. France then, Ramos steps up again. He converts the penalty for 6-0 to France. France then, they're applying more pressure. They're close to the line by finally able to get over after some really stout defence by South Africa. That's converted, and France are 13-0 up. Where South Africa are still in this one. We've had a couple of scrums where it's 7 against 8, and South Africa are showing that, they're not going to be pushed around. They're actually getting the nudge in some of the scrums as well. We're seeing Etzebeth be immense, as he normally is for them. He's winning turnover ball. He's leading the charge. He's making yards. And, you feel like they're hanging on in there. At that point, they get a penalty and kick it. So I think Colby steps up and kicks this one right. Pretty difficult penalty, but he nails it. It's 13-3 at that point. Then the first of South Africa's tries comes. So South Africa, as I said, they were making their way back into the game. They are pretty close to the French line. There is a maul. It just seems to collapse, and everybody's thinking, okay, well, it's going to be slow ball. But Khaleesi, you just see him darting over the line. Nobody really trying to tackle him even. He was just so quick thinking. He broke off the back. He goes over. That gets converted by Colby, and we're at 13-10 at that point. France then do respond. They are pushing up the pitch. They win another penalty. Ramos pops that one over for 16-10 at half time. Into the second half, we have another exchange of penalties that makes the score 19-13 in kind of the first 5 minutes or so of the second half. Then we have another big moment in the game. South Africa, they have advantage for a penalty. They put the ball up. Dupont and Colby jumps up for the ball. Dupont kind of comes in underneath him and just takes his legs out from under him. Colby flips over, lands kind of on his neck. And it could have been it looked like he could have been really badly injured in that. A very dangerous play from Dupont. He, again, is rightly red carded. I don't think anybody from either side should have any arguments about these 2 red cards here. Like they were both kind of, nailed on, no argument type red cards. Colby is treated on the pitch for a while. He eventually goes off for NHIA, and he's replaced by Mapimpi. Dupont, as I said, he's red carded, so we're now 14 each. And South Africa, a nice move. They're attacking. They get the ball out to Arendse, and he does really well. He's out on the right wing, does really well to get in and score. He had to use footwork and power to get in there. He gets a try. Then the kick, the conversion is a little bit tough. Well, it's actually pretty tough. It's right out on the sideline. De Klerk steps up, puts it right between the posts. and that then puts South Africa in the lead. They're so 20-19 at that point. South Africa then they get another penalty, and de Klerk steps up and he puts that one over for 23-19. France are coming back a little bit. They're able to apply some pressure in the South African half. They get a penalty themselves, and Ramos steps up again. He puts that one over to bring us back to a 1-point game, 22-23. Then we have a couple of moments where, you know, decisions kind of went against teams. So this one, we have France are breaking out of their own 22. MacLeod, he's tackled by Arendse. He goes to deck and then he gets up and goes again. And referee decides that, you know, he was tackled, so there was no release, so he wasn't allowed to go again. Penalties to South Africa. But then on the replays, what we see is that when Arendse initially tackles him, he doesn't hold him. And then, so tackles him. And then just as MacLeod is going away, he's kind of spun around. So he uses his legs then to trap MacLeod's ankle, and that trips MacLeod up and makes it look like he was held in the tackle when it was actually the legs for that. But penalties given to South Africa. Up steps. At this point then, that was de Klerk, right? Yeah. De Klerk then slots that. No, this is Wilmse. I think Wilmse scored the last one, right? Yeah, so he steps up. He pops that one over. And at that point then, it's 26-22 to South Africa. We go on then to about 10 minutes to go or so. France are on the attack. They're applying pressure. And they've got two advantages, and then ref blows up. Fourie has only been on for like a minute or two or something. He just come on as a sub. No, he's on about 10 minutes, I think. And, but he gets a yellow card. So South Africa pretty much down to 13 for the rest of the game because we've only got about 10 minutes to go. France then, they're applying pressure on the line. South Africa, they're defending pretty well. As I said, like a lot of their pack have put in a good shift here. They've got the bomb squad on as well to give them fresh legs. But finally, the pressure tells, and Balatea is able to go over. He was on for Antonio, who went off in like the first half. I think they had to take Antonio off, right? Yeah. So he goes over. So when Balatea scored, it looks like he's kind of, the ball is kind of under him, and then he kind of pulls it out and there's a bit of movement and he puts it down, right? And Wayne Barnes is asking the TMO if the try is okay. His on-field decision is try. He wants the TMO to tell him if there, you know, has he spotted anything that we need to review. I was watching it on Amazon, and you can hear the TMO saying to him, try is good. Now, if you're a South African fan, you're probably thinking, it shouldn't have been given because maybe he's, you know, a bit of a double movement there. But the thing that happened is that Barnes can't hear the TMO at this point. So the TMO is telling me everything is fine, but then we have like a wait for a few minutes until they fix the comms issue. Finally, the message gets through to Barnes that the try is good. But yeah, there are like conspiracy theories about, it's so funny that the comms broke at just that point. But at the same time, you can actually, if you're on the Amazon one, as I said, you can hear the TMO telling him everything's fine. So it's not like the TMO was trying to tell him, hey, there's something you need to review here. But, you know, recent times in rugby, like all these things are just kind of gotten just blown out of proportion, I think, a lot of this stuff. But I don't think Ramos converts to try, right? I think he misses the conversion. France at that stage then they nudge ahead. They're at 27-26. It's looking like we're going to have a bit of a grandstand finish. Couple of minutes to go. We have a scrum. France win the penalty at the scrum. And it was kind of a bit of a reversal because, as I said, South Africa, when they were down to 7 in the pack, were still applying good pressure scrum time, but this one goes France's way. Ramos slots it, and from there, then France are able to manage the game to come out winners 30-26. As I said, it was a fantastic atmosphere down in Marseille. France, sometimes they'll move matches outside of Paris, and when they do, you can see when they go to kind of the rugby heartlands like Marseille, you can see passion of the crowd there as well. I feel like in terms of the two teams coming out of this, France are definitely going to be happy with the win here. It's a nice kind of stepping stone for them going into the World Cup. For South Africa, it's another tight loss against a top team, but at the same time, you can see that there are positives for them to take out. A lot of their pack really stood up. We saw Colby, while he was on, actually being a decent kicker. De Klerk as well was a decent kicking option for them too. Then they had Willemse, who could fill in. I think he filled in after De Klerk went off, right? Yeah, because Reinhardt come on at about the 60-minute point. And then Willemse took over the kicking. So they actually had kicking options on the pitch. And also, like, Arendse looked dangerous on the wing. I guess one thing is for them to maybe spread the ball a bit more, because they do have very dangerous backs, but unless, they're playing with advantage, they don't really seem to see much of the ball either. So there's definitely improvements to be had there for them. From France's point of view, then we saw them kind of get out to a lead and then be pegged back and overtaken by South Africa, but then they were able to dig in towards the end and pull out the win. That's something that they've been very good at over the last couple of years, and it's probably something that's if they're going to, they obviously want to win their home World Cup, but I feel if they're going to actually do it, they're going to have to dig out a result at some point in the knockout stages to be able to do that. So this is great experience for them. Just as a neutral, it was great to see these two fantastic sides going at it for the 80 minutes there. I really enjoyed it.